Hello, it's Colette from the Sacred Rose Temple, and I am here today to give you this week's energy forecast. Just want to say thank you to all those people that are tuning into these podcasts and for the feedback that I get on social media and through YouTube. And please, please, please don't forget to share, like, and comment. That all makes a difference when I'm recording and knowing that you're all responding and feeling the energy waves that I'm sharing. So lovely to hear what's going on for you also as these transitions move through our collective. So I started this podcast this week by calling it Let the Mystery Lead, because there is this kind of cosmological pull of the unknown that for a lot of us at the moment. So as we move through this collective time this week, I want you to really feel that underneath it all, we're going through this deep threshold and there is a distinct pressure. There is this feeling of awakening. There is going to be many different choices facing you, karmic resolutions, even karmic questions coming through the field. Like, where is your life actually going? And what are you moving towards? And what does your soul really want with a position to what the mind does? So we've got some really big astrology this week supporting us in this something trying to lead us. The mystery, the great mystery, is trying to lead our soul, our spirit. So, can we be in tune with soul and spirit so that we can listen to what the answers are for moving guidance as we go forward? So, there's lots going on in the astrology, and as normal, I write up all the kind of issues that are going on and frame them in my love and learning at the moment, which is psychological astrology, and how that affects us psychologically, how that affects us as human beings. So that's what I'm more interested in, and I'm sure that it resonates with you as to how all this actually figures for you. So the biggest questions really this week are around the choices you are making. The questions have got to change from what is happening to me, why is this happening, rather than it be what am I choosing and what am I tolerating? What am I putting up with it? What am I still not moving? Where is my life force, my energy, my sexual energy, that libidic life force that runs through it? Where is that heading and where does that want to take you, not the mind? So this week, it may be where the soul might interrupt the plans that you have had going on in your head, that the soul butts in and says, no, 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 that's not your soul path. That's not the way that a more soulful life for you is going to go. So really wait to feel for that, because the ego wants certainty. The ego wants to know A, B, C, D, E, F, G, what time, where, and when. But the soul doesn't operate like that. The soul operates more in the great field of mystery. And a big dream I had last night, so it's how I chose the image that I've put on the footer of this. I had a huge dream of a huge wave, a big emotional wave. It was my emotions. And to really felt like I was connected to this wave. This wave was me, it was my emotions. And really trying to feel how that was scary for me in the dream, this huge wave that was confronting me, but how it felt my emotions, and then how emotions are bringing us closer to the soul. I know that I've taught that for years in somatic work. So that soul-led emotional response to things that might interrupt the plan of the mind and the ego, rather than the plan of the soul that leads us into more of an unconscious field of movement, emotion, and soul-led path. That's what we're looking at. So what's going on up there in the skies? Well, Mars is in Taurus. I shared a lot about that last week. And Pluto is in Aquarius. So we've got themes of desire, power, resistance, and deep change that's happening for many of us. Mars in Taurus, it means that Mars is looking for stability, pleasure, body, money, land, comfort, all those Taurian consistent qualities, and something tangible to hold on to. So if you've been having ideas this energy is trying to say, well, how do you solidify those ideas, not just into heady thoughts, but into reality? So the Pluto in Aquarius part of this is trying to force evolution, collective change. We're seeing future timelines coming through, wanting to be shown. This is being shown already in technology. The technological field is swamping us. This is very much Pluto in Aquarius. Communities, networks, breakdowns of old systems, they're going. And I see a lot of resistance in our collective as technology advances, and it always is the same. Always, we always have this huge fear as technology advances, and that fear really asks us to say we have to discern how we use this. Like everything can be used for bad or good. How is our own use of these technologies being, put through a lens? Are we aware of our shadow? Are we aware of our behaviors around them? So there is a pressure in this Pluto in Aquarius energy that really is asking us, are we playing it safe? Is that preventing us moving forward? Safety pulls us back and keeps us out of moving forward. Is that happening to you? Are you trying to stay safe rather than move forward? And really feel that there's that tension between the body's need for security and the soul's need for liberation. I'm really feeling this on my path at the moment. Being a Taurus, sense of safety is very important for me, but I'm also feeling this place of privilege, freedom I've got, and my soul really wanting that freedom. So how do I balance the two? That's one of the power struggles going on for many of us at the moment. And that power struggle is also leading into things like money, values, control, relationships, work, and direction. And again, this has been super powerful for me. How is work, control systems, all of it? I'm trying to pass that through a moral compass so that I can find out what works best for me. So all of this can be quite frustrating because there's kind of like this push pull going on with your psyche, from your head to your heart, from your womb to your heart, to your soul, to your ego. It's kind of like, wow, there's lots of players in my psyche. And who am I listening to? Who do I want to listen to? How do I balance all of these things that are coming up? But I guess what's really going on in this energy is that a suppression of your desires has been going on for too long. And what's really truly being asked in all these aspects of your psyche is, what do you desire? What is it you desire? The soul has desire. Your sacred sexual life force is desiring. So what do you desire? And I think for you to go to where you desire, you need to confront yourself to say, where am I stuck? Where am I being stubborn? Where am I afraid? And where am I over attached to what is familiar? Yeah. Mars in Taurus is asking you, what do you want? And the energy of Pluto in Aquarius is saying, is that desire, is that what you want, aligned with the future that you are being called to do? And this has been very much the question that helped me make my decision recently about a big move that was taking place and how that's changed. And my move has now formed a new plan that feels more soul, heart, womb aligned. So this is where you must be truly honest with yourself. People say they want change all the time, but the body, the soma, the somatic body is clinging on to the old identity, to the old relationship, to the old income structure, to the old workplace, whatever that old story is, old emotional patterns particularly. And this is where this square is revealing to you where your future is calling, but the nervous system is still bargaining with the past. Honestly, our nervous systems do keep us stuck if we're dysregulated or in fear. This whole pattern of Pluto, Mars in Taurus squaring Pluto in Aquarius last happened in 1798. So it's a big think there was quite a lot of revolution at that time. There was social reordering. There was the challenge of the old hierarchies, and the questions were being raised about who holds the power. And this come up for me today. I had a conversation in the car with somebody on the way back from the gym we were talking about just seeing some, like, I call them Karens. I know that's quite detrimental, but how we really police ourselves and how we make these social constructs within our own lives. Someone was asking, could they copy David Austin roses to put in their garden? I was kind of like, do what you want. And then somebody was saying, is it against the law to bury the dog in the garden? Like, whose law? Whose law? We've got to start to question these things and start to say, well, what do I feel is right or wrong? Like, how do I want to live my life outside of completely like boxing myself into a structure? Be revolutionary. You know, in the car today, my friend parked into the car park and I was like, don't park there, park at the side. This is within me to be out of this form, to revolt against these old structures that are keeping us very stuck as individuals, not only as individuals, but as a society as a whole. So ask that question. What revolution is happening inside of me? This is really important this week to ask. Today, the 25th, is astrologically a huge day to make some really impactful decisions about your future, and also to think of yourself as a revolutionist. If I'm revolutionary, what does that mean? That means that I have to feel revolution inside of me, and how revolution changes everything. So your life is asking for drastic change. Where are you still ruled by fear, dependency, approval of old systems, or survival? I shared on my Instagram this week this French word that means that people who stay in the same town, the same home, they don't develop part of their brain that involves change of routine. And if you stay in a set routine, like you go to the same shop, you go to the same village, everything's the same for you in your life. You bring yourself into a social construct, an individual construct that gets very, very clingy to that, and you don't adapt. You're not able to adapt out of it. So even changing your birth town or your hometown or moving away completely revolutionizes the mind, body, spirit, soul. So is it time that you need to let go of old, dependent on your village or your family unit or old systems that you've used to survive? Where can you make radical changes to move forward? Because your future is demanding you to be honest about what you want. And it's also asking you for a different level of honesty with yourself. So you've got to kind of really challenge yourself. Women who work in my groups will often say that I challenge them and their beliefs, because sometimes we convince ourselves of all kinds of things. The ego is really good at that, because the ego is like your own security guard trying to keep you safe all the time. But really beyond that is when fear comes up, when worry comes up, when the unknown comes up, the mystery is trying to pull you further forward out of your safety. So many of us are feeling that. This is so aligned with the sun meeting Uranus, and the sun is squaring the node. So we know the sun is super powerful. It's the most powerful in our astrology. And this means that there's going to be sudden awakening and karmic direction. The sun being in Uranus is quite a shock. It's something that brings disruption and sudden clarity. And it can feel like a lightning bolt, like an electric shot through the body. So this week, be aware that you might have some sudden realizations, that you could have a conversation that changes something, your direction even, unexpected news, a shift in plans, a desire to break free. I've been feeling that. Got a new change of where I'm going to move to, and a truth that you can no longer unsee about yourself. What is the truth that you can no longer see about yourself? Also feeling that sense that your old life no longer fits. If you're living in that same house, living in that same town, living in that same job, same relationship, and you know it's crushing your soul, and you know that to break free from that would liberate your soul, you have to do it now. You have to realize it now, or you will lock yourself into another cycle of the same for the next 7 years. That's how important it feels at this crossroads right now. The sun squaring those karmic nodes asks some very deep, important questions, and I wrote these down. Am I moving towards my future, or am I repeating my past? Am I moving towards the future, or am I repeating my past? Am I choosing from fear or from my soul? Super important. Am I following the expected path or an alive path? And usually the alive path is pretty scary. Am I still trying to be who I was instead of who I'm now being asked to be? Really important questions. I'll post them under the video so that you can spend some time on them later. But really, this is where your destiny can feel disrupting. I feel like my next movement, my soul plan, is disrupting peace and harmony, this beautiful place here. But I know it's calling me, and I can't avoid it, because we sometimes get so loyal to a version of ourselves that was built to survival and built to what was expected of us, that even though our soul is screaming the truth, oh, you know, I want to travel, oh, you know, I want to live in Barbados, or whatever it is, know that you can't, well, you can hide from your soul forever. But if you're depressed and down and things just don't feel like they're going your way, then you know why, because you're not following your soul. Disruption often brings in the very things that is required for your life to be on a soul path. So saying that, Venus squaring Saturn here also brings up those, I mentioned these last week, but love, worth, money, boundaries, and maturity. So it's a sobering tone here. You might be feeling unloved, undersupported, undervalued, afraid that there is never enough love given to you, time given to you, money given to you. And it might bring up relationship worries, money worries, feelings of rejection or loneliness, a definite need to have clearer boundaries, and a reality check around your love currently, your love life, your desires, and your self-worth. The difference between fantasy, what you live in your head you would like, but what your life truly looks like. So this medicine is strong around here. It's asking what you truly value. So lots are coming up about being truthful to yourself. The more truthful you are to yourself, the more you can call yourself out, saying, no, I'm not happy. No, this isn't where I want my life. Because those kinds of admissions means you've got to make changes. And that's why many people don't admit them, because they're so scared of bloody change. But they will pull you into the mystery, the path of the mystery, being led by trust and this divine orchestration that is always whispering and pulling a cord to your soul. Or whether you live in survival and safety, the choice is yours. But as this full moon comes up this weekend, the full moon in Sagittarius is really all within what we've just shared about truth, vision, direction, the bigger picture. So the full moon in Sagittarius is going to bring some deep emotions, actually. It's asking us for meaning. It's wanting our truth. It wants to bring in something new on the horizon. And it wants you to live a life that's alive, spacious, purposeful, and guided by something greater than your fears or insecurities. It's much bigger than you, this pull. So the full moon, don't be surprised if you get really emotional. We know that the moon is the feminine energy. It also is the shadow. So it brings up things we'd rather not feel or face, but that we must. So what we might feel is where our life has become too small, where you're living in the confinements of a too small life. You might like it. I mean, I love being here by the river and living in the country, but it's making my world smaller. And I realize that soul, spirit, the great mystery is pulling me out of this and saying, no, Colette, this is not for you. You have other things now to move and work towards. And so I am feeling that great pull. And I have feeling the second thing I want to say, which this full moon will bring up, is where you've lost faith. If things have been difficult for you, I've had a challenging 2 years, and within those challenging 2 years, I guess a bit of faith has been lost. And I've only started realizing it recently that everything has been for the greater good. Everything was always working on my side for me. And the discomfort and the dislodging was part of the process that I needed to go through to take this next step in my life. So where have you lost faith, and where could you bring that faith and trust back in the great mystery that is trying to lead you? Also, I want you to be honest about where you're craving freedom. What does that look like? Don't hide it. Don't say, oh, I'm a mum with 3 kids, or that, oh, I'm in a relationship and I've got to stay put. All of that is the answer, but the feeling is different. Where are you craving freedom? Can you admit it? Because somehow, if you admit it, it can find its way in your life regardless of your circumstances. So where do you crave freedom? Can you admit that? Then where you need to tell the truth to yourself, like I've just illustrated, if you've got 4 kids and you're like, I can't have freedom, I've got 4 kids, and freedom will never come in. But what if you were truthful to yourself and say, I've got 4 children and I still need some freedom. I still need to make space in my life for freedom. So be truthful to yourself, and things will find their way into your life that you thought weren't possible. You need to choose direction in your life now. I mean, yeah, many of us have been sat at the crossroads of direction, and even not having a set idea is a direction. So I don't truly 100% have it planned and figured out in my head, but I know my next step. So know your next step, at least plan that out. I've got a plan. I'm going to put my stuff in storage, and then I'm going to rent somewhere, and then I'm going to work on this plan that I have. So what are your next steps to that bigger idea? I have a big dream. I have this dream. I'm going for it. I have to do the next steps. Which direction are you going in, and which steps are you taking? Where your soul is asking for adventure, you must try to acknowledge it. Your soul is always seeking, always looking for how to live in full sacred sexual life force, always. And so that includes adventure, expansion, teaching, travel, wisdom, or a wider vision. What is it trying to show you? The full moon, to kind of summarize this, is asking you to lift your eyes from the immediate dramas around you and look at the bigger landscape beyond those dramas or situations. Where are you going? What are you devoted to? And where is the truth trying to lead your soul? Really, really important. So I've got quite a lot of questions here with regards to the full moon and moving forward, and I will post them in my Sacred Inner Temple group on Facebook. So if you're not in the Inner Temple, you won't get these. I'll put the link under the video, and I will post these questions into the group so you've got some deeper reflecting to do. And people share in there. They share what they're feeling, what they're going through. It's a really lovely space for going a little bit deeper into these energy forecasts and other things that I share in there. So like I say, I'll pop the questions into the Inner Temple under the video I share. So thinking and feeling into all that we've just looked at, big decisions ahead, trying to have some kind of next steps, breaking free of the old structure. Please don't stay in the same structure as you were in. If you can change it all, then you're going to have like a most optimum chance of moving forward. But if you're going to stay stuck, where you already are not making big changes, then it's just all going to look the same. And I know all of us are calling in some big, deep changes. I think the wound of the week, what we're really feeling this week, is moving forward without uncertainty, fear of wanting more, fear of losing the familiar, of being unsupported, of choosing the unknown path, about just taking a big risk. And this wound is also about being in control, always controlling everything. We know that the more spiritual, the more mystical life asks us not to be in control, but to hand it over to the will of the divine, the will of God, the will of the goddess, the will of the universe, whatever you call it. That this week gives us flashes, signs, pressure, discomfort, intuition, and awakening, because it's asking you to take the next step on your life path. So how do I work with this? What's the medicine I would offer for this week? I would definitely say give you chance for your body to speak, take some time, really, tune in physically to how you're feeling. Know that the disruption that you're going through is leading you to more truth in your life, and that the old structures are trying to leave you because they've become too tight for your soul. The places you are leaving, the relationships, the work, the towns have become too small for how you need to expand. Let the longing point guide you towards what you want, and know that that desire, that longing point in you is the libido, is the life force, and is in more contact with the mystery led life than your mind, ego, fear, wound, all of that nervous system stuff that happens because we're in survival. So you're not being asked to force everything into place at the moment, but you're being asked to become honest enough to move with what's already changing and know your next steps. This week, pay attention to those sudden insights coming in, a body's whole intuitive, instinctual way of knowing yes or no. I'm paying attention to where anger, grief, longing, restlessness are showing you the truth. They're trying to show you the truth. Feel where aliveness wants to come in and where deadness, numbness is showing you to leave. So know what you want, tell the truth to others, but most of all to yourself. Stop bargaining and messing with the past, and let the mystery lead you. That's this week's forecast. So please share this video, like and comment. I appreciate all the feedback, and would love for this broadcast to be shared more, and welcome you all into the Sacred Rose Inner Temple should you wish to expand into what we've discussed in this forecast. So until next week, take care, find the truth, and be led by the mystery.